everybody.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I am Jameis Strother.
I'm Sean Spencer.
Back.
We are back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta go out and hold up.
Come on. The lion. The lion. New music so fine. Kurt Cousins.
All right. I am Jameis Strother.
I am Sean Spencer.
And this is Let's Talk Football.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday night. Happy Hump Day, people. You know what night it is. Washington Football Weekly. And you see who I'm with. The guy that lives in the hottest place in America, South Carolina's own Will Kramer. What up, Will?
What's up, man? How we doing this evening?
I'm doing real well. I like the new gear. I like that.
New shirt came in.
Right next.
So let me tell you something. I've actually had this shirt for a while.
Yeah.
I've been looking at it for a while. I have
Yeah.
been. And I was like, but we're kind of struggling. All right. This is 2021.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden we went on this 4-game winning streak. And I said, the way they're playing, this guy might stick around. I'm going to get that shirt.
Yeah.
He didn't win a single game
Nope.
last week. No. And it took forever to arrive.
Yep.
It took 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So it got there for the Giants game. So I wore it for the Giants game, and he still played like garbage in that game.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
So sad. Still love the shirt.
I
Love
know.
what it represents. Love the game. Oh man, yo! Shout out to some people watching. Oh, Ash, she said, "Oh, is that DC, like the city, District of Columbia for life?" Yeah, thanks for representing us.
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly. Taylor Gregory's BFF. Right, we're not going there. Yo, we are so glad y'all are here.
I get it. Nah.
You see it?
Nah.
She knew what she was doing. Get out of here with that. Yo,
Stir
right?
in the pot.
Starting early. We are so glad you are with us. Ladies and gentlemen, the football season is officially ended. The Super Bowl has just happened. And if you do not know, the LA Detroit Rams won the Super Bowl. They won 23-20 over the Bengals. Matthew Stafford finally, after all those years of futility in Detroit, gets his ring on a super team. And it was close, Will. It was close. What'd you think of it, man?
It got exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. I got bored watching the game. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of first stretched it when Beckham went out and then Burrow seemed to be hot. I'm like, oh man, what's going on here? This is not that exciting. But it ended up being exciting. It was a good ending. Like you said, everyone is happy for Matthew Stafford. I believe you picked the Rams, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I picked the Rams. Kind of saw this coming. Big fan of Sean McVay, so happy for him. Although I will say this, now I'm going to need your help with this. You got a wider scope of people you know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know a single person who's an LA Rams fan.
I know.
So I couldn't reach out to anyone on Sunday saying congratulations.
I reached out to all my Detroit Lions fans because obviously all of them claimed the victory because of Matthew Stafford. So they're like, oh, he won a Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, so it's all for us. So I that's as close as I came. I don't know any Rams fan that's actually like, I know people that liked maybe the Greatest Show on Turf or like certain players, but not an actual Rams fan now.
Especially not now they're in Los Angeles. Like you said, I know a couple people who were St. Louis fans and they did not travel. Trust me on that.
Exactly.
But but it's interesting because judging by what we're going to get into here today is the fact that we've had back-to-back Super Bowls with quarterbacks on teams for the first time who saw greener pastures and got it done. What does that mean? Is this going to cause all the chaos in the world?
Well, it makes you think. It makes you think it's kind of almost like the transfer portal. It's like, oh, I know I can go to this team and potentially win right now.
Right.
I mean, look at Burrow. Didn't Burrow do that? Wasn't he at Ohio State or wasn't he somewhere else and then went to LSU?
State. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
So, I mean, this has become the new fad, the new trend, and it's looking like it's going to keep up, you know? And I mean, as long as you have success, I mean, come on.
Right.
Both.
Well, is it a chance for like the players to take back control of the league, just like the NBA is so player driven? You know, this transfer portal that you're seeing in college is becoming player driven. You know, and it's like, but in the NFL, it's always been these execs and owners. They own everything. Yeah. There's not a lot of trades that happen in the NFL. You know, it's free agency is your only time to move around. It's like, what are we going to see here?
Oh, I'm excited. I am absolutely excited. I cannot wait to see what goes on. Really quickly, we did want to mention something. Yesterday, one of the Washington football team greats, Daryl Green, celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Daryl Green. 20 years in the game. NFL's fastest man for most of his career. You know, known for catching Tony Dorsett in his rookie year. Known for catching Eric Dickerson in his prime. You know, Daryl was that guy, you know, a fixture on the team. You know, what do you remember from Daryl Green?
Daryl Green used to put Tootsie Pops in his socks.
Yes.
He said that was his key to running fast.
Yep.
And I remember, so I actually met Daryl Green years ago at a one of these charity walks, fundraiser type things, and got a chance to take a picture with him and stuff. He was extremely nice. But what we loved about him is the way he said the name Redskins. He didn't just say Redskins. He'd say Redskins.
Redskins, yeah.
Yeah. And he always said, so like he just loved when he got interviewed and we're talking to that Redskins. But no, he was great. It's like, you know, this ageless wonder. I mean, he played for Steve Spurrier. Think about that. He was there in 91, in his prime in 91.
Yeah.
And he was still going with Steve Spurrier in 2002. That's wild.
Yes. He saw all of them go. He came in with some of the greats. He came in that 83 draft, or that 84 draft with all the Marino, the Elways, all those guys. And he went on and played with the Theismans, the Art Monks, the Hogs, then to the Doug Williams, the Mark Rippons, and then all the way, like you said, through to the Spurriers. He was amazing, is an amazing player. And like I said, one of the NFL's fastest men for most of his career. I mean, that says something, man. Yeah. You know, one of the smallest guys out there. But one of the toughest guys. Absolutely happy birthday to you. Hope, you know, you had the best birthday, man. Getting up there. I think it's 61. 62. Woo.
Yeah, I got texted just before the show saying, you know, he's 62.
Wow. Good God. Okay. I bet you he still got wheels now. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Oh, you know it.
But yo, I like what you said, man, because I always remember that clip of him talking to the like at the Giants game or something, talking to the cameraman. He's like, Tootsie Roll.
Yeah. Makes
you run fast. I was like, oh, I remember as a little kid, I was like, oh, really? I'm loving Tootsie Roll. Definitely. Yo, so happy birthday to you. We are going to move on. Those were the good old days, the good memories. Nowadays, if you haven't noticed, we are the Washington Commanders. And another part of this whole Washington situation is our owner is back in the news. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Snyder has another sexual harassment claim levied on him. Now, this time, 6 former employees levy a new sexual harassment claim on him. And at this point, Will, I mean, can we finally say he's out the door? Like, what do we do, man?
Well, stuff's happening. I think for the first time, there's some momentum here, you know, and it's kind of funny. You know, it kind of shows how little respect this man has in the DC area. I don't know if you heard yesterday, it came out. He bought like George Washington's one of his other properties in the Mount Vernon area. He spent $40 million, $50 million of cash money to get this new property on the Potomac.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, but to show how little respect this man has with all that money, February 2nd, huge day in team history. You would have a new team name. The very next day, Congress says, we're talking about you. We're having an investigation hearing. You're in the news for all the wrong reasons. And as you mentioned, the women came forward.
Mm-hmm.
The new revelation was that one woman, Tiffany Johnson, she directly named Schneider for the first time. Everything before that has been the team, the employees. It's been, well, he's a part of this, but this was the first time he is directly implicated in harassment and assault. And it was he slid his hand under the table onto her thigh, and I believe he even tried to see if she would come into the limousine with him after some event that they were at. And so this got to change things, all right? And this caused Congress to say, we need those receipts, NFL.
Yeah.
Because as part of this, what also happened was it was discovered that the NFL and Snyder were in cahoots to say we're not releasing those documents. But what's kind of happening now, we're getting some fighting. The NFL and Snyder are fighting over well, who said we're going to release them and who's holding these back. You know, and Snyder said, we're gonna do an investigation into this woman. We take this allegation serious. And the NFL came out and said, no, you're not. You are not doing any personal investigations. We run the allegations. This is our league. So they're really kind of starting to butt heads. And that's what makes you kind of start to wonder what's happening. And then was that the bomb got dropped on Super Bowl Sunday, where is it possible now we're getting closer and closer that these owners are getting tired of Snyder's shenanigans?
Yeah.
And are they getting closer to wanting to vote him out? Because it takes 2/3 to vote him out. So it's going to take 24 owners to say you have to go if they force him.
Yeah. And the crazy part about it is we talked about earlier in the year, one of the people that he's probably buddying up to, Jerry Jones, just had this similar type of stuff happen in the Dallas Cowboy organization with cheerleaders. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's taking, sexually harassing them, taking pictures and certain when they're changing and things of that nature. Like at a certain point, you just got to say it's time to go. We heard the whole issue that came out with around Gruden and how the NFL was kind of keeping it hush hush, and Gruden was a scapegoat to the whole situation. What is it going to take to get this man out of DC? What else does he have to do? You know what I mean?
Well, so you bring up that point, and that's perfect about the Cowboys. And Ash has asked, why hasn't he been pushed out yet? This is an example why. So it's going to take 24 owners to kick you out. You mean to tell me that Dan Snyder doesn't have receipts on some of these other owners? You mean to tell me that the NFL owners didn't know about what happened in Dallas in 2015? Because that's what came out today. And that's kind of the problem. And that's what all these journalists keep talking about. It's not about, we're looking at it from a moral standpoint. There is no reason for him to be the owner. But you're talking billionaires who are used to power, ego, and getting their way.
Yep.
It's going to take a whole lot more than morals. That's not one of their traits, and it's like, what other receipts? I mean, look at Robert Kraft is still owner of the Patriots, and he got busted for prostitution.
Right.
He's still there, So that's the thing. It's like, and the litigious way that Snyder is, they know if we start to force him out, he's going to come clean. And, and the reason why the NFL didn't want the emails to get out is because there are people named in there that they don't want the league secrets to get out.
Yeah.
And so it's all about protection here. It's all about hiding. And for right now, the league is making money.
Yep.
They just signed that contract with Amazon. If you want to watch Thursday Night Football, you have to have Prime. It's going to be $1 billion contract. The Sunday ticket is up for grabs in the next year or two. They're going to move that off of DirecTV and make you pay for it, like a ESPN Plus. The TV money is so good right now for the NFL. They don't have to worry about Snyder,
Yeah.
But at some point, you really got to think they got to look back and say, we need to bring back this market.
Right.
This fan base is really fading, and you're not helping it. They're fading because of you. And
Right.
there's got to be like, people keep saying on here, when is enough enough?
Right. And I mean, hey, you're absolutely right. I mean, think of what we've had to face in the last several years. You know what I mean? With all the situations our running backs go with AP and Juice. We have to go do the whole name change. We lose the cheerleaders, lose the theme song, lose the logo, change name again, dealing with, coach has cancer, COVID, all these different scenarios, everything, and it keeps compiling on. And it's like you said, man, even those of us that are so deep into this that it's just like we're stuck in this whole Redskins fan, Washington fanhood. It still even makes us question, like, I don't want that to represent me. I don't want to be a part of something like that. If this is what you're saying, that you're going to continue this, I can't be associated with that. And it's hard to think about, but we got to be realistic with this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with everything that Ash and Kyle are saying. Sexual harassment, these things have absolutely no place in the NFL. But the NFL is making a very kind of passive-aggressive, like, backwards move, like, yeah, we don't condone it, but at the same time, you're going to get a slap on the wrist for it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, if you smoke some pot and, you do some, some performance-enhancing drugs, you're going to be out for a couple months or a couple games or something like that. But, you beat up your girl or, you look at her or do something like that, we'll pass it along. And that's not an image that the NFL needs to be putting out there, man.
No.
I hate it, man.
Nope.
Especially in the nation's capital,
right.
But hey, and we could go on with this one all day long. But at the same time, one of the things that, and one of the reasons why he might potentially be sticking around, and one of the things that he's been trying to do is get that stadium fixed up. We're at FedEx right now, but like you said, all these things are changing, and they want to bring money to the DC area, to Virginia. But what just happened? You were talking to me before about something just happened in Virginia that's really going to expedite this process.
Yeah. So you kind of talked a little bit about, like, as fans, why are we still hanging around? Why is Dan Snyder still hanging around if all this stuff, negative stuff, is around him? Ego, legacy. He's got a stadium to build. Jack Kent Cook built the current stadium. He just inherited it, and this can be his legacy, where also, should he ever have to sell the team, once he builds a stadium, that team is going to be worth even more. You build some type of palace like the Cowboys have, that ups your value. So this is a big deal for Dan. This is his legacy, and he's looking around. And all of a sudden, this week, I think it happened yesterday, Virginia has come in to say, hey, we want to bring a stadium to Virginia. We see this as an opportunity for economic development. You guys want to build something that has 365 days of people living and shopping and eating. We want that. We want it to come to an area that we build around. And Virginia has passed. They took an old committee that was built for the Virginia Stadium Authority, was built for baseball, back when the Nationals were an option, and they were looking at, where do we relocate the Expos? Is it DC? Is it Norfolk? Is it elsewhere? So they created this authority, and they have now put like an addendum or advised what the authority is, to say we're also for football matters, not just baseball stadium, but for football. So they can now be in the bidding for the new Commander Stadium. And Virginia has come out to say that they will pledge money to improve infrastructure, the roads, the metro, and everything. And that's kind of a big deal for basically a state to say, we will do business with Washington. We will come to us with Commanders. We want you here. So it's opening up some opportunities. Now, why, do you ask? And what are the opportunities? Because it's not just Virginia. DC came out the day the name changed. The mayor said it's time for the Commanders to come back to DC. The Caps play in DC. The Nats play in DC. The United play in DC. Washington sports teams need to be in DC. So she's finally come out to say, you need to come back. Maryland has also come out to say, whoa, we're not out of this, just because, there's FedEx, there's other land opportunities. We want to negotiate. But with Virginia, here's why it may be attractive to Schneider. Virginia does not have a casino and a sports book. Right. And if you're looking at how can you get people to come to a facility on non-football game days, if you have a casino, you've got hotels, you've got sports books, you've got restaurants, you can attract people. DC's got it at the Verizon Center. Maryland's got it at MGM on National Harbor. So this is some attractiveness to Schneider to say, if I'm building a legacy, what type of mega complex, can I build out there? So it's kind of interesting where some of this stuff is going. As much as it would be terrible to be in Prince William or Ashburn, this is kind of why it's like they may not have to care on 10 games a year. You have to drive further because they're building something much bigger.
Yeah. And to quote you, if you build it, they will come. It will come. The Super Bowl will come to DC if we build that new stadium. Because in all likelihood, it's going to be something like Jerry's World, knowing Dan Snyder, knowing how he looks up to Jerry Jones and wants to bring that kind of, revenue to here. And look, that would be nice. I'm going to tell you, as a resident of Northern Virginia, Ashburn, no. That traffic would be insane. I am not looking forward to that, But funny thing is, Anton just hit me up. He hit me up before I came on and talked about he's going to go, I guess this year they're switching up some things with the season tickets. He's going to go get a set of season tickets. And so he was like, yeah, man, I can only go to a couple of games. I'll hit up you guys. You will, if ever you guys want to go to the game, you'll see how much it costs, and I'll get you guys at a discount. And there it is. I was like, oh, snap, word? He was like, yeah, they're in the 200s. I said, okay, let's go.
Whoa.
I can dig it.
I think I need to come up this fall.
Right. Definitely got to come on up here, man. But, yeah, that's quite interesting because, as you know, 2027 is when the lease ends. So I know he said he wanted to get something done prior to that. And that's going to be crazy. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. What are the chances that you actually think it will be in Virginia or?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard because fans want RFK back, you know, and Mayor Bowser said it's not going to be RFK with the parking lot, but we can have a football stadium there. So I think there's a lot of nostalgia there. You've got the Metro there, but I think ultimately it's going to, Snyder's a greedy businessman. It's going to come down to money's going to talk. And if a state is willing to throw all that money at him and maybe less that he has to put down himself, I don't think he's going to be able to say no to that. It'll be, but I don't have a prediction just yet. It's hard.
Yeah. I couldn't call it, man, but I am eager to see just how this process gets going. But as we know, it doesn't matter what kind of bells and whistles you have in your stadium. If you're not winning on the field, what is it, man? What is it all about? So we need to get into the offseason, and we need to start breaking this down, starting with our offense. And Will, this is one of my favorite times of the year. It's bittersweet. The Super Bowl, as I said earlier, ended just this past weekend. Great game. But now you're looking at those 6 months of normally it would be hibernation. But now you got the free agency. Now you got different coaching moves. You got different contracts being signed. Draft preparation. Draft. It all comes around full circle. I love this time of the year, and I love getting into this. And this year, I think is going to be a year that's really going to be something that we might have some really big excitement. There's been a lot of news that kind of Rivera was like, we're looking to get our guy. And, hey, Will, let's start right there. Quarterback. And we see the shirt. Heineke is a great backup. Glad you didn't put that on tape. That's just he was the guy. He's a great number 2. but we need a number one. Do we pull the trigger with a trade and get one of these guys like Wilson? Do we go into the free agency, or do we look in the draft, man? What are we looking to do, man?
Okay, all right. I mean, like you said, this is the most fun time of the NFL calendar year sometimes for some of the fans.
Let's go.
And you mentioned it. Ron said this is a big offseason. Year 3 is where you want to see improvement. And bottom line, he's won 7 games in each of his 2 seasons. That's not exactly what we signed up for. Maybe it was in year 1, but in year 2, we were expecting a little bit more. So he's got to make some improvements. And we still we don't have a quarterback. As much as I loved Taylor Heineke, and I love the story too. Yeah. But, you could watch – all you do is watch the playoffs. When you really when you take yourself out of it and just enjoy the games and just see the throws he cannot make. Some of those throws we saw from Stafford, he just doesn't have the arm to do it. And so it's like his ceiling is as a backup. So we got to figure something out. I will say this. I believe that the franchise needs, we got the new team name of Commanders. There needs to be a face, all right? And part of the issue they have right now is Chase Young had a down second year.
Yeah.
So all this ascension, sure, he can come back, and I think right now he is one of the faces, but you need something a little bit more, okay? Let me also say this to you, it's week 1, it's FedEx Field, and at quarterback for the Washington Commanders is number 2, Mitchell Trubisky. And everyone's going to say, are you kidding me? That's not going to get anyone out off the seats. You know what I mean? So I just wonder, if this franchise, it's one of those times where we need some juice. We were at this point a couple of years ago, about 10 years ago, when we played John Beck and Rex Grossman. And then we had the number 6 pick in the draft. And it was kind of hopeless. And then Dan Snyder said, we're going all in. And he went and got Robert Griffin. And it just seems like it's another one of these moments where we're looking for something. So let's start it off, man. Let's go big. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to start with trades.
Let's get them.
And we can see what your thoughts are. Okay. So we've got some names out there. We've got some names like Russell Wilson. We've got some names like Deshaun Watson. All right. We've got some names like Jimmy Garoppolo. So let's not all get too excited here. So I'm going to go back to a conversation that we had in one of the first times we started this show. And I want to give, is it Alex Stevens? Bro Crew Sports?
Yep.
I listened to his little snippet on YouTube, and I'll give him credit because he was talking the same thing we did. All right. Okay. So if you were to give up your next 2 first-round picks in the next 2 years, and they are picked 24 and above, 24, 26, 28, is that worth it to you if you've got a stud quarterback that takes you to the division round of the playoffs for the next 3-4 years?
Oh, yeah.
It is. So,
definitely.
So I am nervous about what it would take to give up if we were to go after a Deshaun Watson, if we were to go after a Russell Wilson, But you also have to look, and if they're going to make you that much better, if they're the ones who can get Terry the ball, if they're the ones who can get Samuel the ball and Logan Thomas, that's going to pay dividends, know. And the NFL says you can only give up 3 first-round picks. They have a cap there. So there is a chance, it would cost a lot, but I honestly think it's worth it. And I will say this, the only person, this is going to be crazy, I think, that I think is untouchable on this roster right now is Terry McLaurin.
Yep. Okay.
Anybody else I'm open to negotiate with, and that includes Chase Young. Now, I will say this. If you're Seattle and you're saying we want Chase Young in a trade for Russell Wilson, then I will say I'm giving you 1 first and that's it. Your price has to come down. I'm not giving Chase Young plus 2 and 3 first-round picks. But if that's what it's going to take, if you bring your price down, we can talk. I'm not saying I'm going to say yes, but we can talk. You know, but when it comes to the trades and the big names, I think we got to look really hard into it and think what could this bring to our team? What do you think?
So I honestly, the more, and we had this conversation a lot last year about Russell Wilson, about those two trades, and if we get a higher, we going past deeper in the in the playoffs, those picks are higher picks. That's not a bad situation, you know what I mean? And if we do a right now situation, get a Russell Wilson or something like that, I would be okay with that. I would actually love it. I don't know. Chase, I don't know if I want to get rid of Chase or even I know the trade. Maybe Deron Payne, maybe somebody like that, maybe somebody else. But yeah, you know what I mean. And that's kind of where I'm at because those picks, we can work that out and we can get, as we've seen this last draft, we actually did not do bad in the later picks. Getting John Bates, Shaka Toney, and Williams played. Cheeseman played a lot. Jarrett Patterson, who we got after the draft. A lot of these guys had time, so we can work that out later in the draft so that those first two won't be so severe of a loss. And like you said, if we're getting to the playoffs, if we're consistently winning the division, yes, and consistently moving on later in the year, then that's what we want. Because right now, even with the injuries, even with the last year was 4 quarterbacks, this year it was kind of Heineke most of the year. We've still 7 wins. We've still kind of been in the hunt. After that 4-game win streak, we were 6-6. We controlled our own destiny. We won only one more game, but we still controlled our own destiny in that scenario. So we've had the opportunity, especially the NFC East. The NFC East is still somewhat down. Dallas had a nice year, but I think they're going to come back to earth this next coming year. This is the time to strike while the iron's hot. And the NFC, we talked about that in all the shows. The NFC is kind of down. Aaron Rodgers, we don't know what's happening with him. Tom Brady just left. Matt Stafford, that team was a one and done, in my opinion, the Rams. So, you know what I mean? So we could really make a move right now. And I agree with you. I think somebody like a Russell Wilson would be the ideal pick. Now, I've heard other people, Kyle was saying Marcus Mariota. What do you think about that? That's not as flashy enough, but I do like his mobility.
Yeah, I've never been a Mariota fan, to be honest with you. I didn't like him coming out of Oregon when Tennessee grabbed him. Something about that offense and that just doesn't translate into the pros. So I've never been a Mariota fan. It's like when it comes to the big names, and I will say this, I don't know if Russell Wilson actually is going to force a trade. And with Pete Carroll there, I think that the likelihood may actually be less. I felt like Seattle really needed to hit the reset button. Carroll needed to retire, and that would cause Russell the chance to go. But so it's really going to be him forcing him way out. And so I'm not sure. The other
you see this draft? You see this trade that they said? De'Ami Brown, Ioannidis, Patterson, and the number 11 pick for next year for Wilson.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that looks great. It's like, honestly, though, the guy who's maybe even more worth it, although it just doesn't fit with our team at all. Deshaun Watson's 26 years old. He's going to cost $40 million next year, but he's 26 years old.
Yeah.
We've got the cap to absorb it, and so that's why I think he's kind of looking to it. I will say this. I am completely out on Jimmy Garoppolo. And
really?
Not just because it's not going to cost a first-round pick. So that's,
right.
That at least it's going to be less because I don't see the reason to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $25 million to be the quarterback that you're going to try and draft and replace. I think that's a waste of money. I would rather go after someone, like a Mariota if you're going to, because I think it's going to cost a little bit less.
Matt Ryan. What do you think about Matt?
I would totally take him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Atlanta came out saying that they weren't going to trade him because everyone's thinking they need to move on. But I would totally take Matt Ryan for a couple of years, especially if you draft that someone in the second round like Carson Strong, or you let him sit.
Yeah.
That Matt Ryan could be someone that works out well. Who have you been looking at?
Personally, I've been trying to be more realistic with it, but like I said, I've been definitely looking at Russell Wilson. But then on the back end, I've been I don't have an issue with Jimmy G. You know, when he's healthy, he's a winner. He has to stay healthy, and that's a very big asterisk around him. So, you know, that's not going to be something that I'm going to look at lightly. Mitchell Trubisky or Mariota are like one and the same for me, where it's like it's not going to be – it's like Fitzpatrick. Like you're hoping that you get the best version of them, you know. But with what we saw this year with Fitzpatrick, you know, he just basically got all that money just to hang out. Personally, though, my main look, if we're not going to make this big name trade, if we're not going to go ahead and say, hey, you know, full steam ahead, I want to sit back here. I want to just kind of see how things play out in free agency, and I'm looking towards the draft. I'm looking towards one of these young guys, and honestly, I want to do it where we get a veteran, so that kind of was supposed to be like Fitzpatrick this past year, where we get a veteran, put him in there, let him play, and then let this rookie come up and learn under that. You know what I mean? I don't want to throw one of these guys in. We're not ready for that. We're still kind of getting back to the mold and figuring out who's going where. We still need, you know, as we said, wide receivers. We got to make sure we got our running game going because, you know, Gibson has fumbling issues. So I do want a rookie, but I don't want him. I don't want to put the whole franchise on top of him. And there's nobody this year that's like, even Kenny Pickett's still kind of like, I like him. The hands, I've heard a lot of people talk about the small hands and whatnot, but he has a football mind. He's definitely a good decision maker, and I like what he could bring to the table. But I think throwing that all on him might detriment him. You know what I mean? But yeah, if we fell into a Matt Ryan, I'd be all about that. I'd be all about that.
Yeah. Well, I think with free agency, the reason why I don't think anyone gets excited by these guys is they're all stopgaps. You know, you're not really getting any further than even throwing Heineke out there almost. You know, I would say that Trubisky is a better quarterback than Heineke is, stronger arm, but it's not like you're going to go from 7 wins to 12 with Mitch Trubisky or, or someone else or Mariota. Here's a name. He was a Redskins killer, but apparently the Colts are going to move on either in a trade or cutting Carson Wentz. What do you think about that name?
I have been outspoken that I'm not a fan of Carson Wentz. I don't know what it is, but ever since after the Super Bowl, he just has not been the same. Yes, you're absolutely right. He seems to have our number, but I mean, unless we get that version that played against us, from whatever else I've seen, I'm not sold on him, man.
I agree 100%. It's like I only have this vision because he killed us as an Eagle, you know. But I don't know what happened to him the last couple of years. And if the fact that his old quarterbacks coach took him and is now discarding him, I'll be honest. I really believe that Frank Reich is a better offensive mind than Scott Turner. So if Frank Reich can't fix him, I don't think Scott Turner
ain't gonna do it.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just still remember that one play that we busted through the middle and we had him folded over. Like he was bent over, and then somehow he breaks free out of that. But then again, that's why I say if he's playing Washington 18 games a year, let's go.
He's good at FedEx Field.
Right. He'll dominate that. But everywhere else, no. I can't. And he had Jonathan Taylor. He had, a solid O-line, and he still was the problem. I can't do it. I do want to throw this one out there just for our guy, Ab, Mr. Jameis Winston.
Good. I'm glad.
What do you think about this one, man? Would you take a chance?
I loved Jameis at Florida State.
Yeah.
When he came on the scene and won the national championship, I think, as a freshman, and everything he did was great. And then he kind of, maybe, I don't know, things kind of went a little south for him. And then I feel terrible saying this, but I enjoyed seeing him fail in Tampa. I just felt like it was karma, just hitting him a little bit. Now, he played pretty well with the Saints this year. However, he was so handcuffed on that team. Sean Payton did not let Jameis play the way he would want to. Now, if he can do that, if that's going to be him moving forward, then he's a whole lot better of a quarterback playing in that role that's kind of handcuffed. You're not going to just chuck the ball everywhere you want here.
Right.
That he actually, at his age, I think he's 28, he would be the one free agent where, like, there's still life there. There's still a chance that he could be with you for several years, and you could get something out of it. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't want it. But I'll let someone else figure that one out. But there is some positives to him, I think, more so than the others.
Yeah. Again, like you said, he looked better than he has looked, and with the talent that he had, but he looked like he wasn't as erratic, wasn't as just throw it up there, F it, somebody's down there type deal. He actually looked, in most games, he had some flashes of the past Jameis, but he definitely looked pretty decent this year. And I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that he might have been a potential Pro Bowl quarterback. I mean, he didn't have the talent, but he was playing up until the time when he got hurt. That would be interesting. And I'd be interested to see how him and Turner and Rivera mesh if he were to come here. So, we'll see how that goes. But look, like we both said, we both alluded to the fact that, we really kind of want to see if there's somebody in the draft that we can look at and say, this is the direction I want to go in. And I'm not going to deviate from the norm. You know where I am. Hey, basketball season's going on. I think we play tonight. We play Pitt tonight, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
So, yeah, Sam Howell, North Carolina, under the great Mac Brown. Honestly, I love this guy. I love what he brings. He's got mobility, but he's also been a 3-year starter, knows how to work a very high octane offense, and has a cannon. And I think in this era of getting quarterbacks and getting them their stud receivers, a la Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, Waddle and Tua, Burrow and Jamar Chase. Let's in my comeback tour for De'Ami Brown, bring Sam Howell in here. Let's get it together and let's get this thing moving. Let's go.
You went there.
Let's go.
Dude, that's the type of stuff that we would pull in Madden and pull off so well too.
Right.
That's too funny.
I love him. But him and Pickett, they're up there. But yeah, that's all right. What do you got, man?
I like Sam Howell too. But I was shocked to read this with the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
So they said that he is hesitant to throw into contested windows. He wants the guys to be open, and in the NFL, you're throwing your guys open. Yeah. Which that was like a huge red flag when I was reading that from a scout. They also said something, this doesn't make any sense. So this is a story that in a one-on-one drill with the receiver and a corner, he didn't throw the ball one time because the receiver wasn't open. And it's like, well, it's a one-on-one drill. Like what?
Right.
This is the purpose is practice, is reps.
Right.
Why aren't you giving these guys reps? And like he threw the ball away or something like that. So it's like that was like a huge red flag because I was all about Sam Howell, going into it. I'm very interested in Kenny Pickett as well. Yeah. I saw the thing about the hand size and he kind of struggled in some bad weather at the Senior Bowl, but I'm pretty interested in him. One guy I don't necessarily want, but I'm doing it for the kid's best interest. I don't think we should go after Malik Willis.
Yep, I
agree.
agree.
I'll tell you why, because I think he needs a Trey Lance redshirt year.
Yeah.
And I think someone said it earlier, I think it was Kyle, Atlanta would be perfect for Malik Willis, or an Atlanta situation where he can sit behind Matt Ryan for a year and learn. Yep. Let him go to a place since he's making the jump from Liberty to the pros to sit and really learn, just like Trey Lance got to before you take over. And that's not Washington. And I don't want to put the pressure on the kid. I think we already did that in 2019 when Dwayne Haskins wasn't going to be a first-round pick, but Dan Snyder made him one. And so then there was all this pressure for a kid who probably was not ready to play. And I don't want them to do that again.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that is something that I really don't. I mean, if he's there later, maybe, but I just don't. That transition from Liberty to the big leagues. I was listening to somebody talk about it today on sports radio, on ESPNU radio, and they were basically saying how it's great to see all the success he had at Liberty, but let's be honest, Liberty is not one of these Power Fives. They're not one of these big SEC teams that really week in and week out you're getting top tier talent, and then to come right from a Liberty to coming to the pros, I mean, there's going to be a gap there. There's going to be a little bit, a little transition period. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how he does it. Another guy I'm interested in to see, another two actually, played late into the season. One, Desmond Ritter. We talked about him a lot. And Matt Corral. Matt Corral at one point was a Heisman favorite. Yeah. He had taken over, he as the media darling throughout the fall and going into October, November. And then obviously had that ankle injury, was not able to sustain the same type of success he had prior to the injury. I'm eager to see how that plays, but I love he has it's kind of like a Johnny Manziel kind of movement, but at the same time you can see his head is on straight. He's one of these guys that kind of like Heineke has the headband and kind of like a rah-rah, and he even got hurt in one of the games. And I remember the big thing, he rushed right back onto the field and the whole sideline lit up and this like that. So that's somebody that I would love to see. And as far as Desmond Ritter, I've heard leadership. I've heard good things. I saw him in the Senior Bowl. I wasn't super impressed, but I've heard he's got good leadership. He's a 3-year starter, you know what I mean? So I like that, but I just don't know if he has the demeanor to come into the situation in Washington. You know what I mean? So, and then, one more guy, Carson Strong.
I was going to give Ad a shout out here.
Yes,
he said it too in our text thread, and so he's out of, I think, is it Nevada? I believe.
Yeah, Nevada.
Yeah, so he's got. They talk about him. His arm lives up to his last name. Yeah. He's got a great arm. One of the things they're worried about is, I think he had a couple knee injuries in college that he's had to overcome. Is that going to be enough? But yeah, I mean, I think he's a name to kind of watch because it doesn't seem like he's going to be a first-round pick. So can you get him in the second round and improve your team, and then get your franchise guy? Right. And it's still so early in the draft process right now. There's no way to kind of evaluate these guys yet. One thing, there were a couple guys that struggled at the Senior Bowl. There's a couple guys who flashed, like Malik Willis was the star at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
But one thing you got to remember with that is these guys are playing against college players.
Right.
Yeah, you are good against a college player. That's why you're up to be a first-round pick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's going to change your first day of mini camp. You know? So it's really hard right now to kind of really start evaluating. But yeah, no, I mean, it's fun, and I agree with you. I think ultimately, if you can't go big, you need to be looking at the draft because it's going to cost less.
Right.
Oh, Nathan's excited for the offseason. Join us, buddy.
Look, he asked a question we asked earlier. Would you be interested in making an offer for Carson Wentz? Nope. Would you do it? Would you do it, Nathan? Would you get Carson Wentz? I've told you how I feel about him. Not happening.
All right, so before we move on to the next position, you're the GM.
Yeah.
You are Martin Mayhew. What are you doing? And if you need to go plan A, plan B on this one, that totally makes sense. What are you doing, Sean?
So honestly, I'm going full steam ahead after Mr. Russell Wilson. I'm honestly, it's been long overdue. The last time we did this was for a rookie. Yes, it panned out somewhat till he got hurt, but I think we go into somebody that's been proven and somebody has a chip on his shoulder. Ryan Clark, our old safety, sat here and called Mr. Russell Wilson out and said, hey, he's not elite. He's not great. He's not in that same category. I feel like Russ has a chip on his shoulder. Let's put in the necessary, picks to get this guy. And let's take that next step, man. Because if we don't, Dallas, if they keep getting it, they're going to start inching away from us. And that's not what we need. You've talked about Philly having a lot of draft capital they can use. They're prepared to make some moves. We need to hit now. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at, man. What about you?
I'm with you. My plan A is make the call to Seattle. make the call to Houston, hear what they got to say. If you think you can swing it, if we can handle the picks, if we can handle if there's a player that goes along with it that we can absorb that, you do it. Because Russell Wilson's going to change everything, and he's going to make everybody better. He is a 4 or 5 game difference maker out there. So that's going to flip the entire NFC East right there. My plan is go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, and the other thing he's going to do is he's going to make people want to come to play here. He's going to make people want to come play with him. A big deal that we had from a year ago was, do you want to come and play with Washington because we have a great defense? You have a solid Terry McLaurin receiver. We get Curtis Samuel. It was that type of situation. Getting a Russell Wilson, now these big name receivers will be like, I'll go play with him. Yeah. We can do that. So what's your B? What's your
So my plan B is like we've talked about. You get a veteran to then draft somebody. And the 2 vets I'm looking at, one of them I don't like him on the field, but I like him off the field. I think Andy Dalton would be a wonderful guy to have in the locker room to groom. Yeah. Whatever your rookie is. Because my concern is Taylor Heineke ain't gonna teach this kid anything to help him. So you really need somebody in there that he can learn from. And Mitch Trubisky and Marcus Mariota, you bring in these guys' names, they're out there as much trying to prove themselves as opposed to Dalton's at that time of his career where let me teach the next guy, like he was doing in Chicago there. So he would be like a sort of stopgap. But I would do that if we got a guy like Kenny Pickett, knowing that by week 5, Pickett's in. Dalton is just here as a short-term placeholder. The other guy that I would consider as a free agent is a guy who, unfortunately, this has been his role for the past couple of years, not because he's chosen it. It's just kind of worked out that way. And he's played well, and he always gets hurt. But Tyrod Taylor has come in and played well in, were they the LA Chargers?
Yeah.
When Herbert took, so
when he got stabbed.
Yeah, he was playing well there. He was playing well this year in Houston.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt again. So there's a thing here. But if you're gonna need to have someone play a few more than 3 or 4 games, I feel like he can, and I feel bad telling him, hey man, you're coming in here to groom another rookie. But he's done it, and he's serviceable. And most importantly, with those 2 guys, I think they're gonna be cheap in a contract, so we can spend the money elsewhere because we need to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like that. I would definitely love to get one of these stopgap guys to come in here and do it, and they know you're grooming. You're in here just to bide some time for this guy. I love that. Hey, and at quarterback, we could honestly, we could talk about this for days because there's so many different options at quarterback, and there's so many things that have to play out between now and just when free agency starts, now and when the draft starts. You have the combine, all these different things that are going on. So that is huge. Some of the other positions aren't as elaborate. We don't need to expand upon them, but they are pretty in-depth. I got to go to my position, running back. You know who we have. We have McKissick, we have Gibson, and we have Patterson. All of them played solid roles, when healthy. Patterson came on a little bit later. Gibson had fumble issues. That is something that it cannot be tolerated. Coming from a running back, it cannot be tolerated because as we've seen this year, there were certain times in that Chargers game to start off where that was the difference. Yeah. Him giving them that extra possession, they were able to capitalize. So we need to make sure that at this position, we're locked up. So my question to you, Will, do you stick with Gibson? Do you look maybe in free agency? Or are you potentially keeping your eye on that draft?
Yes. I'm sticking with Gibson, but I am keeping my eye on a player to push him. Yeah. Because you're right. Yeah. This is year 3. This is the year that, man, he's a 3rd-round pick, so he only has a 4-year contract. Yeah. You got to put up if you think you're going to get a contract extension. We need to see something out of you. The fumbles, the shoestring tackles.
Can't do it.
I'll be like, he shows the potential. He really does. he shows everything out there that he could be a dynamic player. But I have to say, he had one of the most uninspiring 1,000 yards I've ever seen out of a running back. I think he had 5 or 6 games where he looked good.
Yeah.
And then some others where he didn't, And in those 5 or 6 games, he was great. And he was a bell cow. And he showed what we can be. And so I think you need to bring someone to A, push him, but B, spell him. I think he needs some rest. I mean, I do think they want him to be a 3-down back, but he also needs to get plays off. Yeah. And the plays off need to be something other than 3rd down when they know you're going to incorporate your scat back. You're not keeping your offense unpredictable if you kind of go with that philosophy. So I do. And the unfortunate part here about the running back, I love the guy. Yeah. But I don't think there's enough football to go around for J.D. McKissic to come back.
Yeah.
I would love to have him back. And if he wants to come back, I would say come on back. But I think we got someone like Curtis Samuel in-house who can do some of the things that McKissic can do out of the backfield that maybe you don't need to put that money into McKissic, even if it's not that much. But what if you put that money into something else, a swing tackle that might have to play, or you give that to a veteran defensive end who's there to mentor Chase Young, or play if he gets nicked, where you could use some of those dollars to reallocate. So I think we need to address running back.
Yeah. No, I definitely do. I definitely think we do need to look at it. And the fact that McKissic is a free agent, and like you said, teams don't keep, 2 of the guys that's doing the same thing. You know what I mean? They figure out which one is more valuable to them right now. And I guess that, they're looking at Samuel with the money they put in him and the fact that McKissic is a free agent. So I can definitely see them going elsewhere. Now, looking at this list of free agents right now at running back, obviously you got big names like Fournette, Gordon, Chase Edmonds, Cordero Patterson, James Conner, Mostert, Sony Michel, David Johnson. Is there any name on there that leaps out at you that you're saying, let me maybe take a crack at them? Let me see what they're bringing to the table.
There's a couple, and I want them for cheap, and that's kind of what I'm looking at here. As a backup running back, I don't want to spend a lot of money here. There's some guys like Matt Breida is out there, and he's been a starter before, and he's shown for limited time he can do it. Jerick McKinnon really flashed in Kansas City.
Yes.
He looked pretty good. I mean, I don't think Andy Reid is going to let him go, but I could see Andy Reid going after McKissic. Like saying you can fit in my offense really well and doing a little switcheroo right there. The other one I got is he would be a little bit more of just your 3rd down guy, but he's done it for years, and he could still help us out if that's all he does is James White.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to go very, very inexpensive here.
Oh yeah. I'm right there with you, especially on McKinnon, man. That's one of the things I definitely noticed with the Chiefs, that when he came in, he was definitely a change of pace. He definitely got them moving down the field. I think, honestly, between Dante Foreman and Ronald Jones as kind of like a big name back, both of them played solid roles when they were in there. And I would be very interested, but in like maybe a 1-year deal, maybe a very low salary, something like that, because I don't want to spend big money on this, but definitely having like a LeGarrette Blount type, so that at the goal line we have that big guy, bring him in like Gerald Riggs was back in the early 90s. Bring him in, get the first down, get the touchdown, whatever we need, because I think that is something between Gibson and Patterson and McKissic that we're missing right now. That big, that brooding back. But I am very interested to look into the draft, though. Maybe not immediately and look at those top tier picks, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to throw a couple names at you. Breece Hall out of Iowa State. I absolutely love what he has going on. Tyler Algier out of BYU. And Isaiah Spiller out of Texas A&M has a lot of speed. A lot of these guys, James Cook out of Georgia, that's another guy. So a lot of these guys have speed. They have hands. That's another thing that I think is very vital right now, is be able to have hands. But they've been playing 4 years, and they know about playing deep into the season. I think somebody like that's got speed, has hands, has maneuverability, but still is tough, that we can bring in there. It might be maybe like you're saying with Gibson, having somebody that's pressuring Gibson, have somebody that pressures maybe the second or third guy. Let these guys, fight for this job, and just so we can get the best out of each of these guys. The iron sharpens iron. So is there anybody in the draft that you're looking at for running back?
I love Breece Hall. I think that's the name too that I saw. I'm hoping maybe if it's the third or fourth round or later, he could still be there. I think that'd be the steal. But truthfully, you name guys that I don't know that well. James Cook, I have heard of him. Georgia always has good running backs. They're almost always worth taking a flyer on. But that's the philosophy I agree with as well, is getting somebody with a later pick that can come in here and push them, I think, is the best use of our money as well. I would totally be for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something that I would be interested to see. Not necessarily with the earliest picks, but definitely later in the draft, just to see if we can get him. If we get a steal like a Kenneth Walker, who can be a tough running back.
Such a homer name.
Hey, I got to. I have to, man. I have to. Since my Detroit Lions won the Super Bowl, all right, I got to talk about Michigan State. Let's go. Let's move on, because there's the next position is something that we actually are in need of. The wide receiver position. We need that number 2, somebody that's going to take the pressure off of Mr. Terry McLaurin, and also potentially take the top of the defense. As our guy Ab was saying, Terry McLaurin had been made, with kind of the quarterbacks we have, made into a possession receiver. We need somebody like a Deshaun Jackson when he was here, somebody that can do that fly pattern, bring those safeties and those corners deep, so we can open up the underneath middle of the field. There's a couple free agents that are out there: Juju Smith-Schuster, Allen Robinson, Russell Gage, a couple of these guys, and obviously there's a couple guys coming in from the draft. Where do you want to lean, or is there a trade or something you might want to make?
Man, this is such a hard position, I think, right now for us, and I am so frustrated now to be in this position, because if I could redo it, I would not have signed Curtis Samuel, because we didn't see him play. And they're the guys that are in this wide receiver free agent class are the guys I would be throwing the money to. The guys like Godwin, Allen Robinson, Devontae Adams, Juju. I love the kid from LA, Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Love that. The problem is, I don't think we can afford that. I don't think we can do that if your plan is to re-sign Terry. Right. I don't know how you could have 3 wide receivers making more than $12 to $20 million each.
No.
I think that's just too much money allocated into one position. But I mean, if we're not getting a Russell Wilson and we're getting a drafting quarterback, if we're not re-signing Brandon Sheriff and we're going lower at guard, and we've got money to spend, then if we've got it in the cap and we think we can make it work, like if they figure out we are not getting one of these quarterbacks, we're going to have a rookie, this is how we're going to do it, then if, as much help as we can get, if you can bring in someone like Juju, I'd be all for it. I'd be all for it. If they think they can make it work. I don't know how they're going to do it, because I really do think they need to be looking this offseason at extending Terry. But I think Terry needs to be also looking at who is going to throw me the ball.
Exactly.
Because until you get me that, I'm not talking to you. And I would not blame him for that either. I would applaud the man for saying, this is my career. Y'all need to get me someone before we talk extension.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now some of the names I looked at, they're lower key. So just like with running back, they're not the big names. But some of them, the theme is speed. All right. Yeah. So I got Marquise Goodwin
Okay.
He's been hurt in the last couple of years, but when he was in San Francisco, he started to really flash. As a guy who's just simply speed, is a guy named Travis Benjamin.
Yep.
All right. And so he would basically be what we thought Diami could be. Take the top on someone. He's there as a speed threat. All right. I'm interested in Russell Gage. He made some plays as a Falcon.
He did.
And now the thing with Atlanta is I don't think Calvin Ridley is going to be on the team this year. I think they're going to part ways with him. So is Gage going to come back and get more action there? I don't know. And then the only other name I got is another Falcon. He's a slot guy. Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yo, he was actually pretty dominant in college. I do remember him in college.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in the pros.
He's had flashes here and there, and again, he'd be under the radar. Actually, I got two more names for you.
Yeah.
One would be a homecoming. And this would be like the idea of like, if you don't sign McKissick, can you put more money into this veteran receiver who knows how to play slot, knows how to get open? Would Jameson Crowder be open to reunite here in DC?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think we made a mistake letting him go the last time when we thought it was a good deal. But and then the last one I got, and this is you've been injured, we're going to give you 1 year to prove yourself, is Will Fuller.
Yes. I love that Will Fuller pick, and I love that the Crowder pick, because honestly, like you said, the Crowder pick, I thought, why did we let him go? He was doing well for us, and for many years over in New York, he was their only glimmer of hope. You know what I mean? He is legit. He's been that way for a while. I like it, man. I like a lot of those picks, a lot of those guys. I would be interested in looking at Emmanuel Sanders, but he's had some very big goose eggs this year, but he's also blown up and had some great, so there's a high upside out of that guy. I followed him since he came from SMU. I love what he's got going on in that Buffalo offense. He was good, and then now there was a lot of balls going around, and then Josh Allen carried it a lot himself. You know what I mean? That is definitely something I'd be interested in. Fuller for me, yes, absolutely. Russell Gage, that's another one I talked about. What about John Ross? You talk about take a top.
Is he a free agent?
And it says for the New York Giants.
Yeah, we identified him last year. I was ticked off the Giants got him. So yeah, absolutely. For the same thing, he's pretty much the only route you're going to do is go deep.
Yeah. Just send him on that deep route, let him go. And if we have a quarterback, again, a lot of this is predicated on that quarterback that can throw it deep, because Heineke ain't that guy.
No.
So we're going to have to figure that part out right there. Nathan said, would you trade Curtis Samuel?
I would, I think, but I don't know what market there'd be. I don't want to trade him for a 4th-round pick.
Right.
And I really think that, their thing is he's going to be healthy. He's going to be the dynamic player that we anticipated. But, of course, you got to listen.
Yeah. And actually, moving on, we're going to move on to tight ends.
Do not put that up there.
We just dropped him. We had him last year, and we got rid of him. Nathan, you were here with us, man. Come on now. Come on, man. Yo, we need to move on. We're going to go into the tight end portion of it. Honestly, Logan Thomas, we know he got hurt a year ago. He will be coming back. Our gem, steal of a find, John Bates out of Boise State, had a great year with us once he got in there. Sure hands, great blocking. He's definitely showed up. I think we still have Ricky Seals-Jones.
He's free agent.
He's a free agent. So is there anybody that you're looking at tight end? Or
there are, and I am bargain hunting here. Okay, I'm going to that Walmart bin for $5 and trying to find the Sandlot in there. Is what I'm looking to do. See if I can sneak that one out of there. First off, like you said, Logan Thomas, man, our offense was hurt when he got out, so he's so important to us. John Bates turned out to be a really good tight end, and we want to have someone else there. We need another guy who can step up if either one of those gets hurt. Because when Logan goes down, man, our offense completely changes. Yeah. I would bring back Ricky Seals-Jones. I thought he did well enough to, in spurts. He couldn't do it for a 17-game stretch, but he really made some plays. There are a couple guys out there. I don't know if they want to come here as a backup tight end, like a Hayden Hurst in Atlanta, because he's kind of been ousted there in Atlanta, but he can do a little bit more than Bates can offensively. I don't know if the dude just for offense, David Njoku would be an option. Again, a little more offense than all around. I've got a name, and I'm pulling a Sean Spencer here with his North Carolina guys. So several years ago, there was a tight end out of Wisconsin that I thought was going to light the NFL on fire as a steal by the name of Troy Fumagalli. He got drafted in Denver, which is the worst place for him because of all those tight ends they got, and he's been injured. He tore his ACL, so he didn't play there. Then he signed with New England, who then signed 2 more tight ends last offseason. So the dude hasn't gotten a chance to play at all. I would love to see him brought in on our practice squad.
Yeah,
because I think Troy has a chance, dang it, and I want to see him given that opportunity. There's one other guy. If we can't bring back Ricky Seals-Jones, was a guy who was a former Washington Redskin. His name is Donald Parham. He played for the Chargers.
Yeah.
He's 6'8". He is a basketball convert. Basketball player converted to a tight end. And he was with us in training camp in 2019, and they loved him. The thing they said was he's just raw. He's learning how to play tight end. And he's learned it. And he makes plays for the Chargers and now and again. And, if this is your third tight end, he can make plays out there. So Ricky Seals-Jones, Donald Parham would be – and let Fumagalli go in the practice squad.
Ricky Seals-Jones for me too, because as we saw when Heineke, a lot of his passes were a little higher, having somebody like that who could climb the ladder to get those, I think was key. Hayden Hurst, I have been monitoring his little back and forth in Atlanta, so that would be a nice pick. But again, playing number 2, I don't know if he'd be interested in doing that. What is the other name I saw? Oh, Mo Alley Cox.
Oh,
I've been paying attention to him when I've been watching the Colts. I really like what he has. He's got a good size. I'm interested to see, he had certain glimmers of hope a year ago with the Colts, but Carson Wentz, as we talked about, isn't that great, so wasn't giving him enough attention. And they ran the ball a lot too. So I think Mo Alley Cox as a good number 2. Right, if we don't go after Ricky Seals-Jones, I think him and Logan Thomas would be a good 1-2 punch at tight end, and potentially help our play action game go. So I'd be all about those guys. And then as somebody that's just maybe just out there and it's just he's available, we'll see what happens. Zach Ertz. I don't know what it would take to get him, but it would be fun to have some flair like when we had Jordan Reed at tight end. Now, Logan Thomas has a little bit, and that's it. You got two alphas there, so I don't know, how that would work out. But I've been kind of monitoring him. When he went to the Cardinals last year, I was like, oh, I didn't know you were even willing to leave. We've seen what he's done with the Eagles against us, so I'd be interested in that.
Oh, I mean, he's a great player, like you said. If he'd be willing to do the same thing he did in Philly with Dallas Goedert, Ertz and Thomas, and if we can't get one of these receivers, we need a playmaker on offense.
Yes.
We cannot go into next year with what we have because I don't care who's your quarterback. You can bring in Russell Wilson, but he's going to need people to help him out.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we talked about the free agents. Is there anybody that you've maybe looked at in the draft that maybe you consider taking a later draft pick on?
I would actually go early in the draft pick. If we're able to identify someone say they want a Carson Strong or they want Sam Howell and they know they don't have to use the 11th overall pick, if they could use that on a receiver, I'd be all for it. Someone like the dude out of Alabama. I mean, these Alabama receivers keep coming out playing well. Jameson Williams. Add him to the list of Judy, of Riggs. Was it Riggs? Ruggs, of Smith, of Waddle. These guys come in and they produce in the pros now.
Yes.
Because
they have him and Mechie. Yeah, exactly.
It's a list of these guys where, like, if there's one position where, like, you can kind of say, well, go get this guy. He's gonna get you something. It's that. I also like this dude out of Southern Cal, the other USC.
Okay.
Is Drake. I went there. It's a big deal down here.
Right.
They get ticked off. They get mad. I like to tell everyone down here, well, they put you on ESPN as Scar, so that lets you know what people think of you.
Right.
We're talking tight ends, aren't we? I started talking receivers. I got myself confused.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know any tight ends in the draft.
Okay.
I don't. I'm so sorry. I started going receivers. I got myself all confused.
So we can go back to receivers real quick. I did want to shout out Dylan Wall saying Trey McBride in the second round. Very good option at tight end. You're absolutely right. I believe Dylan's he from Michigan. Is that where he played? Colorado State.
Oh,
Colorado State. I will say Jalen Weidermeyer out of Texas A&M, I believe, is a solid tight end. One of those more Jimmy Graham type tight ends, big wide receiver type. And another guy, you remember we talked about Breece Hall out of Iowa State. You got this guy named Charlie Kohler, big number 88 type, tough, good hands. Definitely could go down the seams. Is very, very good. I definitely think those two guys they're guys that we could potentially get in maybe the second or third round, or if we maybe traded up and got a couple picks in maybe the second or third, we can definitely get these guys. And I definitely believe those guys are they will be definite assets, day one assets to our offense. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And we can get it for cheap. So
I got a name for you. I do. He's another University of Wisconsin guy. His name is Jake Ferguson.
There we go.
He is the nephew of Barry Alvarez, and he was their number one offensive weapon, for the last 2-3 years. And there's a little suspect on his blocking, but I certainly think he could be a 4th, 5th round pick, contribute as a pass catcher. But what are we going to do about Sammy Reyes?
That is true. So how do you feel about that? Because last year was definitely that, get your feet wet, and towards the end of the year, we started seeing him on the field more. But would you want to go forward with him? I mean, is that somebody you would want to put in? Maybe is your number maybe 3, number 2, maybe your number 4? I mean, just in the top 4 of tight ends. We kept 4 this year. What do you think?
Nope. I'm ready to cut him.
Right.
I feel like Sammy Reyes right now is a gimmick player, and we can't afford to have a gimmick player. Yeah. He was on our team all year as a practice squad, or he was that protected player, always inactive, type thing. So he couldn't be stolen. And I mean, I'll give him a chance, obviously, this offseason to step up, but I just think his learning curve for what he needs is not what we can afford right now.
Yep. Honestly, it was, and I mean, this is not a joke. There's no pun intended, but it was honestly, it was kind of like it was a foreign exchange student. We were kind of like, all right, you can join us to do whatever we're doing, but you're not in there. So it was weird because we brought him in and it was like, he's never played before and he's in these programs, this and that. And it's like, really? And he never really got on the field enough to really make a serious impact. So it's kind of like, if you're not making an impact, man, we can't justify paying you.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, especially we're talking about putting money to some of these other guys. But go back to wide receiver. You talked about Drake London. Is there anybody else, outside of obviously the Alabama wide receivers? Anybody else you're thinking about?
Yeah, man, I apologize. That's my baby brain coming in here. We're on one thing, and it just, I still have lack of sleep. I'm not firing on all cylinders here. The other dude is the kids from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson, I believe.
Yes.
Chris Olave, I believe. Those they seem to produce too. Those are some of the hot names right there that I would consider, early on as these receivers are producing. You got these Justin Jeffersons, you got these Devontae Smith. These guys are coming in the league ready to play. Jamar Chase, So I think if we can get someone that it would be a huge impact for our offense and be cheap. We can't overspend at one position.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm honestly, if we can get one of these guys for cheap, like you said, I mean, even the names that you said are like the top 4 guys: Williamson, Olave, Smith, Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. Somebody that's not as big, but definitely has got talent. Yeah, Treylon Burks out of Arkansas, 6'3", 225. Guys that have ability that we could potentially get in there, and they might not be the starter, but they'll do better than my guy, De'Ami Brown did.
Yeah.
We need somebody who's going to produce. You know what I mean? All bias aside, and those guys, we've seen what they can do, and to have a number 2 next to Terry McLaurin, and maybe even bring an Ohio State guy that's known Terry McLaurin or that has the same pedigree. That give us something so that we can take this top off this defense, so that we can help the quarterback, we can help the running game, by having that deep threat. And but price is going to be huge.
Yeah,
going in and getting it in college, getting one of these guys for cheap, maybe picking up a free agent throughout, for cheap. That'd be huge. Now Nathan said, "What about Hayden Hurst?" Yeah, we just talked about him. We definitely talked about him.
Go to the next one from Nathan.
This guy.
I'd take him. I would totally take him.
Nick Boyle.
Nick Boyle can play.
From what? The quarterback?
No, he's a tight end.
No, where did he play? Where did he play last year?
The Ravens.
Oh, okay.
He can play.
Okay.
He's buried on their depth chart, but no, he can play. I would totally take him.
There we go.
I think he would get more playing time than John Bates, truthfully.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Yo, bring him
I'll give Nate my conditional 7th round pick.
Right. So we'll meet you we'll see you at the table. All right. Yeah. the bargaining table. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is who I was thinking about. Dylan Walls, Tim Boyle, the quarterback that is atrocious.
Detroit.
Yeah. His college stats, he's like, I think in like 3 years at the University of UConn, our University of Connecticut, he had like 1 touchdown, 13 interceptions. And
How
somehow
did he make the league, man?
Right.
Like, good for him. Like, holy
It's like, are you serious? What did they see in you, man?
Right.
So that's what I thought you were talking about. I was like, what? No. No, not at all. Yo. So let's move on to the last part of the offense, the position that I guessed right a year ago. Offensive line. Yo, we needed a mini because of the injuries we had. Will, you talked about it. Sheriff, this might be it. Unless we do something to get him to come back, pay him an exorbitant amount of money to get him to stay here. He's most likely out of here. Do we try to look and see if there's a free agent that comes about? Do we try to play with that? Is the draft something we need to look at? I saw a guy from Iowa that is kind of along the same lines as Sheriff, and we had good luck with that pick. Which direction are you leaning towards?
You want to bring in some more corn-fed white boys to play
Let's
guard?
go. Let's go. Wisconsin, Iowa, bring them all. Big Ten, let's go.
Grown on the farm.
That's right.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a big deal for us right now. Like, we got a big decision to make on Sheriff. Right now, our offensive line, you got Leno, who signed an extension, so he's set for a couple of years, so left tackle. Eric Flowers is actually in the last year of his deal. We now pay all $10 million of it.
Yeah.
Miami paid half of it last year. So that's increased like the cost of the offensive line. Chase Roulier will be back. He's on a $10 million contract. And then we've got Cosme, the rookie, who played well. So the offensive line's kind of solid. But we've got this hole now at right guard. Is what we're going to do. A lot of people say you can promote Wes Schweitzer to take over. We've got Sadiq Charles, who got some playing time. The team would know more than what we can see there. And then you've also got young guys like Keith Ishmael, who played center, guard, and, he seems to be a backup. So I'm going to say a couple things when it comes to Sheriff. And Abdul, if you're watching this live or if you're listening on the podcast, you need to turn it up.
Let's go.
Because I know this is your pet peeve. This guy is the guy who grinds your gears more than anybody else. It appears that Brandon Sheriff is not going to be a part of Washington in 2022. It appears that he might have priced his way out of the team. However, I'm interested to see what they do because in the 5 games that Brandon Sheriff missed, we didn't run for 100 yards but one time, and that was against the Giants.
Yeah.
So there's a production loss there. So for everyone that says, well, just put Wes Schweitzer in, he played well. Well, but did he? Was he okay?
Right.
And do we need better than that? So I think it's going to be kind of interesting as to what we do. I don't think we should pay Sheriff $16, $18 million to come back. You can't pay a guard that. And last year, I will admit, I said, pay him. He's worth it. He's going to make us better. This year, it's like, you can't do that. We got to figure something out. Now, I will also say this. I very, very overestimated the guard market last year.
Yeah.
Because in free agency and when you franchise tag players, the guard is the same as the tackle in how they do it. So a guard is going to get the same money as a franchise as what's his name, Trent Williams, which makes no sense for that. For a guard to get the same amount of money as a left tackle. So I saw what's been happening in the NFL is these guards are getting big contracts. You talk about Andrew Norwell left Carolina to go to Jacksonville. He got a big money deal. You saw Joe Thuney go from New England to Kansas City, get a big money deal. So at the time last year, I said, the trend is going up for guards. We got to pay Sheriff. This year, I'm like, we got to figure something else out. And I think the guard market's going to go down. There's a couple names I think we can look at. I think free agency is a way to look at. Andrew Norwell. Yeah. He's no longer with Jacksonville. Ron Rivera knows him. I'm not giving him $14 million, but I'm curious, what is his price tag? Yeah. I'll have that conversation. There's a dude out of San Francisco. I loved him coming out of the draft from Duke. Laken Tomlinson.
Okay.
I'm curious to see about him. It got put up there. Dylan put up there. I was looking at Mark Glowinski. From the Colts. I've heard some good things on him. I'm going to put my South Carolina pride out here. AJ Cann. He's a guard on Jacksonville. He's a pretty good player. There's Connor Williams from Dallas.
Yeah.
And what
I'd be interested.
He's making less than $1 million right now. If you offer him $8 million a year, is that a big enough jump for him that he'll say, okay, there's one other guy, and if Nick and Delilah hear this at some point, maybe you can put a snippet. I'll take James Daniels off your team. Gladly. He's young. He would be worth the money to put towards a young guy to come in and start for us. So those are some of the free agents I've seen that I'm interested in. What about you?
Yeah, no, Norvell is somebody that I've been eyeing from Jacksonville. Another guy that has played all the way up through the Super Bowl, Quentin Spain. But at the same time, though, that interior got abused in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. So I've always liked him, but I did not like the fact that they were getting just destroyed by those three quality defensive lines, but still they were getting destroyed by that. But Connor Williams, I talked to, obviously, with all the Cowboys fans I've been talking about him. They've been telling me about him all year. He went toe-to-toe in training camp and mini camp against when they had like the joint practices. He went toe-to-toe with Aaron Donald and even had like a little fight with Aaron Donald and held his own. I love that toughness. That's definitely something I would love to bring in And playing in Dallas, I think, it could work for us. He might have some good intel. But yeah, it's very interesting. I'm eager to see what we do, but I completely agree with you. You can't pay him. You can't pay Sheriff that type of money. You're not going to do that. You're setting the precedent of what to pay guards, and we need to potentially get somebody on the cheap. Nathan says, "What about Ryan Jensen
with the Bucks?" I think.
Yeah, Tampa Bay center.
About it, but yeah.
Yeah.
What is your price tag on Sheriff? What is your I don't go above this?
What is he tagged at?
18.
He's tagged at 18. Dear God. Oh man. I don't go anywhere near that. He wouldn't stay for me. I mean, 13, 14, maybe.
So you'd go as high as 14 a year for him?
Yeah.
It's so tough because
he produces.
He's going to miss 4 games a year, 4 or 5
Very
games
true.
a year.
Absolutely.
It's like, how could you spend $14 million? I'm with you. I'm like, would I give him 12 to 14 maybe? But it's like, is that still overpaying for someone who missed games?
Right. And the flip side to it is when he's on the field, we are considerably better. And that is a shored up position that we do not have to worry about. But it's absolutely right. We cannot avoid the fact that it's consistent. Every year, at certain points, he gets out. He gets injured. Something happens. So, I mean, unless you find a gem somewhere else, and that's where we're going to look into the draft. Is there anybody in the draft that you've been looking at? I know a lot of guys would probably go a little earlier that I've been really eyeing, like I think it's the guy Neil. But I'm very interested to see which direction you'd be looking at towards draft.
Yeah, no, I don't have specific names, but I would say, if you're going 2nd or 3rd round pick, or even 4th round pick, to basically push whoever you sign, or if Schweitzer is the guy and you go 2nd or 3rd round to really push him like that, I'm all for that, to get someone young, cheap, who's going to kind of balance the offensive line, but get a chance to play. Because if you can have rookie at right guard and Sam Cosmi year 2 at right tackle, you're kind of having balance among where you're spending your money.
Yes, and I like that. Build that line up, grow some continuity, and you're saving money at the same time. And you could potentially get these guys for 2, 3, 4 years together, playing together, and barring injury, that would be a beautiful situation. It's something that we need. Seeing how this year we talked about how many centers did we play, how many guards did we play, how many guys played multiple positions on that line. So we need to have guys that are A, flexible, B, durable, but C, cheap, affordable,
Yeah. And I will say this, whether we have a stud at quarterback or a rookie, getting a good offensive line is only going to make them that much better. Exactly. And I would rather see Wes Schweitzer be that backup, our top backup, to come in on either side, because I think he can serve in very well. And I would rather have somebody that is a better player than Schweitzer to help out whoever we have under center.
Oh yeah. Hey, and look, and ladies and gentlemen, as you saw in the Super Bowl, you can make it through the playoffs. You scathe by and get by on last minute field goals, but in the end, you need to have that line. No matter how dominant your wide receiver to quarterback to wide receiver combination is, no matter how many yards they're thrown for, eventually you're going to deal with that big name defense that's going to be able to exploit that. And hey, that's what we saw in the Super Bowl. That's what Cincinnati needs to figure out. So let's start there before we can think about bringing in a rookie quarterback or somebody else, some other veteran. We need to shore up, make sure that line is secure. If Sheriff's not going to be here, all right, let's move on. Let's figure out where we can go, what we can do, spend affordable and reasonably. Hey, let's move on, man, because that's something necessary, man. We got to have our quarterback, but we got to have him protected. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, absolutely, Will. Oh, man, I love this. Diving a little bit into the offense, into this regular season. We're starting to come to a lot of the things that are happening, the free agency, the different. We've seen all the coaches that have been getting picked up. and we're moving close to the draft, the combine, all these great things. So, Will, next time we're hitting them with defense, correct?
Correct. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, defense.
Oh, yeah.
I got to do some research here because we got some holes we got to fill. We got some decisions we got to make on certain players. Yeah.
I did that little mock draft after Ab was saying it in the group chat. I started doing little mock drafts, and then I just went in there and looked at needs, and it says quarterback, and then it says linebacker. And so it just started giving me all of these linebackers in college. So I'd be interested. I'll share those with you. I'll be interested to see kind of which direction we go in. And okay, Dylan. See, this is why you get cut out of the show on Sundays. You got players that need to stop fighting. You know what?
That's
I hope
passion,
you're
Dylan.
Right.
They care about their play. Is that a Packer thing that he's got there?
Oh yeah, that's a Packers thing.
You got guys that don't want to play for you anymore.
Exactly. Get out of here, Dylan. Aaron Rodgers is not coming back. Let's go. So, we thank you so much for joining us, Dylan, Nathan, Ash in the beginning, Andrew, Kyle. Appreciate you guys sitting here with us and just hanging out with us on this Wednesday night. Like Will said, we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about defense, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about defense and all the latest news and notes that are going on. Right before we leave, I definitely want to tell you, check out tomorrow night, 6:30, Let's Talk Football Ladies Takeover, the season finale. Season 1 ends tomorrow.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm very excited that they can get that show up and running and off the ground. And they've come, I think, 5-6 episodes deep, finishing it up tomorrow. They will be back at the end of the year. Friday, we have Let's Talk Football Presents, myself and Sydney Swinton. Also, we have Mr. Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Will be coming on Friday night at 10:30. Check it out. He's a king of late night, man. This guy,
king of late night. That's awesome.
What's my guy that's from DC, bald guy with glasses?
Van Pelt.
Van Pelt. Yeah, he's rivaling Van Pelt, man.
Is. Yeah.
I love it. So definitely check him out. Check all the things we have going out. Appreciate you guys. For myself, Mr. Sean Spencer, South Carolina zone over here, Mr. Will Kramer with that famous high neck key on his shirt. I love it. Hey, we'll be with you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, hope you have a good night. Peace.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I am Janae Strother.
I'm Sean Spencer.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta go out and hold up.
Come on. The line. The line. New man losing so fine. Kirk Cousins.
All right. I am Janae Strother.
I am Sean